Welcome everybody to our Monday night shiur, the last one of the year. Our pre-Rosh Hashanah shiur. Next week, Monday, that week before Rosh Hashanah, I need a lot of time to prepare. So this is gonna be our last shiur of the year. Then the Monday after that is Rosh Hashanah itself. So we're gonna have our first shiur on Rosh Hashanah. But we're gonna speak about Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot. What's the avodah in these days?
Simchat Torah.
Simchat Torah, of course. How can we forget? And B'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, we're gonna try to touch. And I have a nice shot here from Sefer Abrit, the Ariyah Kadosh, that talk about what's the kavanah should be on those days. You know, there's many sigulot on Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. And this Elul that we've had so far, Selichot, everything's very nice, but sometimes the Yetzer Hara could get you so bad when you're in such a high aliyah. You're feeling it. Suddenly he sends you some satan that doesn't get out of your head, and it gives you such a yerida and such a boom, and you feel like you can't get up. But your avodah is you have to get up, because if you're gonna stay down, you're down. That's it. You're done.
That was last week. Don't stay down.
That was last week's shiur. Don't stay down. Yeah. But I had this test on Sunday actually. I left shul shacharit. Ever since we've been davening here all together at 6 in the morning, 6:15 in the morning, 6:30.
The best.
I can't daven late anymore. I just can't. If I daven late, I'm missing something in my head. Davening at home is an X. I can't even daven at home. That's not even an option anymore. You have to daven in shul. You just can't anymore. If you don't, you're missing something in your neshama. I went to the mikveh on Sunday, Motzei Shabbat. And Motzei Shabbat, the Gemara says that. Also, the Ari brings down that a lot of people, tzaddikim, used to die Motzei Shabbat. And because there was a sakana on Motzei Shabbat. We have an extra soul on Shabbat. When that soul would leave the big tzaddikim, they would feel such a difference, a disconnection, that it was a sakana for them. They would die on Sundays. Sakana is a danger. But that's why that's why we have the mitzvah of Melave Malka, by the way. What's the whole point of the Melave Malka? That Sudar Re'it. According to the Ariyah Kadosh, it's brought down in the name of the Mekubalim, the Tzaddikim HaKadoshim, that Melave Malka, that we do Sudar Re'it, is as important as Sudah Shlishit. It's as important. You have to do it with bread. You have to do it with Seudah. You have to make yourself a Seudah. And you have to keep your Shabbat clothes on. You can't get all, in your PJ, you're sitting over there, feeling all good, with your, your slippers, your fuzzy wuzzies, and you're sitting on the table over there. You can't be comfortable. No, comfortable. You have to see what you're saying. There's a kavanah behind it. There's a kavanah behind it. And, according to the Ariyah Kadosh, when you do the Havdalah, all those parts of the Havdalah, the Kiddush, the Bisamim, the Ner, the actual Havdalah itself, all these things, including Sudarit, is to pacify, to make that extra neshama feel good. So somebody's like, I don't feel anything on Motzei Shabbat. The answer is, he never got the extra soul.
Make it sweet.
But a lot of people that's why Motzei Shabbat is a very depressing time for a lot of people. Go crazy on Motzei Shabbat. They want to go out, because they feel a little bit of something is missing. Motzei Shabbat is a very tough time. And so the Ariyah Kadosh says you have to eat Melave Malka right away. You shouldn't wait till 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. You should eat it right away with your Shabbat clothes on to pacify that extra neshama. And then Sunday is also a very tough day. Sunday is a tough day for a lot of people, because on Sunday it's right after Shabbat, and the avodah begins again. You have to start the avodah again, and shacharit, mincha, aravit. You're going from olam haba, basically, you're straight into the yamei avodah. It's a tough time for people. And the Ariyah Kadosh says that a person has to split his service to Hashem into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. How do you do that? The Ariyah says that our specific work when we serve Hashem on Sundays is to serve Hashem completely in the mind. That means everything we should do, you should try not to stop thinking of Hashem even for a second. On Sunday. On Monday, the main avodah of serving Hashem is in learning Torah. On Tuesday, the main service of Hashem is to do action mitzvot. Bikur cholim, gimilut chasadim. Why is that? Because on Sunday, your neshama leaves you. That you had on Shabbat, the neshama part leaves you. Neshama, everything is in the machshava. So you have to pacify your soul. You have to do that by keep on thinking of Hashem. That's why on Sundays, a lot of the test of people coming out of Shabbat is specifically in the machshava. Bad thoughts, hirhurim ra'im, on Sundays. Because on Sunday, that's when you have to always think of Hashem. Monday, when we start work, our main avodah has to be learning Torah. You can't be mevatel Torah. On Monday is one day you should never be mevatel Torah. On Tuesday, which is the nefesh, our main avodah has to be, you have to look for action mitzvot. Gimilut chasadim. Your mother calls you, take me home from work. You have to say yes. Your father asks you for a favor. You have to say yes right away. You know, I heard a story. We're talking about Kibbud Av Va'em for a second. You know, there is this there's a chain of hotels in Israel called Melonot Dan, Reshet Dan. It's a big family in Israel, Dan family, and they own a chain of let's call it like the Hilton hotels, but in Israel, chain of hotels. So he was once speaking to a rabbi, the head of the hotel chain, and in the middle of the conversation, he says to the rabbi, "Excuse me." He picks up the phone, he stands up with like kavod, and he goes to the side. No, not such a religious guy, and he's speaking on the phone with such kavod. The rabbi was surprised, like, who was on the phone that you were so, like, it was the president of the United States you're speaking to it. He said, it was my father. Because every time my father calls me, I stand up. He's like, he doesn't see you. He's like, still, from the morak kavod, to make myself used to kavod, I get up every time my father calls me, and when I speak to him, even on the phone, I stand up when I speak with him. Chiloni guy. And he's the head of all the Melonot Dan in Eretz Israel. Such kavod. The zechut of Kibbud Av Va'em, by the way, we said every morning in Korbanot, we eat from that zechut in this world. All the mitzvot that we do, most of it is in Olam Haba, you get the sachar. But some mitzvot, in this world you get the zechut, that's Kibbud Av Va'em, and it's the hardest mitzvah too. It's the hardest mitzvah too, because they're very makpid. Huh?
Long life. Yeah.
Long life, yeah, but not only long life you get. Long life also means to enjoy your life. Parnasa, shefa, bracha, hatzlacha, a lot of that's to do with Kibbud Av Va'em. A tikkun, by the way, for Kibbud Av Va'em, if you want to know, you guys are going to go to your shuls. I'm going to give you some sigurot right now. What tikkun you could do for Kibbud Av Va'em. There's a couple of things you could do to be made. Let's say your person's parent passed away already, and he feels like he didn't do enough, he was able to do. Besides for the hashkavot, shmashkavot, and all that stuff, I'm not putting it down, all those hashkavot and stuff. But there are certain mitzvot that are also Kibbud Av Va'em. They're connected to the same power of Kibbud Av Va'em. And one of those mitzvot is to put the rimonim on the Sefer Torah. When they sell the rimonim on the Sefer Torah,
how is that connected?
That's connected to mitzvot Kibbud Av Va'em, because Kibbud Av Va'em comes from the chasadim and the gvurot. And those are the two parts of the brain, the positive and the negative. Father is positive and mother is the negative aspect, protons, electrons. And they go on the Sefer Torah, which is the child. And they go on like a crown on them, because your parents are your crown. That's why when your parents, everybody's parents, if Mashiach doesn't come, when they pass away, you have to rip your shirt until your heart is shown. That heart represents the chesed and the gvura that your parents give you, the chesedim and gvurot. And the way to metaken that, to fix that, is to put the rimonim on the Sefer Torah. Another tikkun.
This is man, what about woman?
Huh?
This is man.
She could buy it. She could buy it for somebody to do. Another tikkun you could do, this is from the Ben Ish Chai, it's a bit harder to do. You have to fast for 40 days straight. 45 days straight. It's a little bit harder. But not the whole day. 3 hours a day. That's it. 3 hours a day. You could pick any hour, but you have to do it straight for 45 days straight, except for Shabbat and Yom Tov. This is from the Ben Ish Chai in the book of Lashon Chachamim.
Something to read,
There's something to read over there.
Every day.
Every single day. And you have to give tzedakah every day during that time. You can't drink during those 3 hours. You can't eat nothing. Yeah? You're not allowed to sleep during those 3 hours. You're not allowed to sleep during those 3 hours, huh? You're allowed to work, but you have to make sure to give the tzedakah and say the special tefillah during that time. Another tikkun for mitzvat kibud av va'em, whoever's pogem in the honoring of their parents, there's 3 days of the year that any tikkun you do during that time, if you have kavanah, it could fix a lot in that. Those are the 3 days before Shavuot. Before the Chag Shavuot, Matan Torah, where we stay up all night. So 3 days before, the Ari HaKadosh revealed, when Rav Chaim Vital was a kid, he cursed his mother. When he was a kid, kids. I don't know what he called her, stupid or whatever. He cursed his mom. And the Ari said the only tikkun for that is the 3 days before Shavuot. You have to make a specific tikkun during those 3. I'm not going to tell you what he told him to do, but it was a bit intense. But anything that we do in our level during those 3 days can be mitaken da'avam kibud avim. Why is that important? I don't want to get too into the kibud avim. This is not a shiur on kibud avim. But the Ari HaKadosh explains to us, the Goyim paint us a vision of Gan Eden as you're sitting on the beach and everything is good. How long could you go? You could go to the beach today. How long are you going to go there for? How long are you going to enjoy the sun for? Not forever. At one point, you're going to get tired of it. You're going to want to go to Siberia. A little change of scenery. So the Ari HaKadosh explains that in the Gan Eden, you see, Gan Eden is not totally physical. It's not also totally spiritual. It's somewhere in the middle. What body do you have when you go to Gan Eden? Says the Ari HaKadosh in Etz Chaim. It's a body like over here, like you have right now. Just the goof. This goof. It's not as physical as it is right here, but you look the same exact way. You look exactly the same, and that goof that you have is called Chalukat Derabanan. It's a special kind of goof that you have. That's the goof that Eliyahu Hanavi left. Remember, he says he came out of his body over here and he went alive to Gan Eden. Whoever thinks that Eliyahu Hanavi grew wings and went to Gan Eden, Elisha was looking at him. He said, Rabbi, where are you going? Like it's some kind of skaska book. He never learned Gemara in his life. The Gemara in Masechet Sukkah said that Eliyahu Hanavi went to heaven 10 tfachim. 10 tfachim is about, this much. That means when his soul came out of his body, it was such a thrust, like a boom. His body jumped up 10 tfachim, and his soul separated from his body. That means his body is buried over here.
He wasn't alive.
He wasn't alive. He was dead.
Okay.
But we don't know where he's buried, like Moshe Rabbeinu. That's the secret. We don't know where he's buried, like Moshe Rabbeinu. Huh?
He buried him.
We don't know where he's buried. It says over there that the Rechev Asus took him, Elisha Navi couldn't look after him because he wanted to get the double nivuah. When he came to look, just like Moshe Rabbeinu was taken away, also Eliyahu Navi. Because they were both the same aspect, just one was in Chesed, one was in Gevurah. But Eliyahu Navi didn't go alive to Shemayim. It's a Gemara Masechet Sukkah. Right? Also Moshe Rabbeinu, he didn't go alive to Shemayim. The Shekhinah came down 10 tefachim on Har Sinai. He went up. Half of his body was in the cloud. Half of his body was on the bottom, on the mountain. That's why he's called Isha Elohim, a man of God. Why is he called the man of God? From the top up, he was in the Shekhinah. From the waist down, he was on the mountain. You understand? But no human body could go inside space. If you go to space with your body, what happens to it? It's going to burn up in a second. There's no, you're going to explode over there. You understand? So this is not some fairy tale that you're going to fly up to Shamayim. Rather, the soul comes out of the body and it has another goof around it. That goof is called Chaluka Derabanan. It's not the soul. It's like an intermediate between the soul and the body. And that soul, that intermediate, that goof, comes from your parents. It comes from your parents. Everybody has it. And they give it to you on the day that you were made. On the day that you made your children, that's how they have that Chaluka Derabanan. Depending how big it is, that's how much life the person is going to get. So a person has a big one, has a lot of nitzotzot, is going to live a long life, says the Ari. Person has a small one, shorter life. So for example, let's say the parents, on the day that they conceived their child, not the day they were born, on the day that they made their child, the mikveh night, let's call it, the father that day, he respected his parents. His mother called him, says, could you do something for me, Sinochik? Yes, 100%. And he goes. And then that day he put on tefillin and nets. And that day he said brachot with kavanah. that from those mitzvot, he makes the chalukah derabanan, that goof, for his kid. If she gets pregnant that day. Preparation. But that, it's not like that preparation is stam. That, those mitzvot itself turn into that child's special body in Gan Eden. You understand? And those are the mitzvot that kid is going to really want to do when he's going to be born. How come some people, they run towards certain mitzvot and some people run towards other mitzvot? Because the day that they were conceived, explains the Ari HaKadosh, the child was made with those mitzvot. It's called Chalukah Derabanan. Now, when you disrespect your parents, you're burning your Chalukah Derabanan. You understand? You know, in Halacha, for example, you know, I used to stand where my father prays. You know, I used to stand over there to daven. I don't do that anymore. Because it says in Hilchot Kibud Avayim, you're not allowed to even stand in the special place of your father. Let's say your father has a specific place that he always stands. You can't even stand over there. It's like sitting in the place of your parents. You can't sit over there. You also can't stand. But what the difference is, your parents is allowed to forgive their honor. But your rabbi is not allowed to forgive his honor. Your Rebbe can say, come sit in my chair. He cannot say that. Because it's not his kavod. It's the Torah's kavod. And he's disrespecting his own Torah. Because the Talmid will never reach his Rebbe. A child may reach his father, eventually. But the Talmid will never reach his Rebbe. So that tikkunim that we make for our nishamot, everything connects. Now on Tuesday, let's go back to the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday thing. We went on a small tangent for Kibud Avayim, now let's go back. Now on Tuesday, the special mitzvot is to actually do the mitzvot, to do something physical mitzvot. On Wednesday, what do we have to do? Again, physical mitzvot. On Thursday, the main tikkun is limud Torah, with your mouth. That's besides what you regularly do. And on a Friday, again, everything is b'machshava. And on Shabbat is olam haba. You get the extra neshama. What does that mean, you get an extra neshama? What is that extra neshama? Says the Ari HaKadosh in Shara Kavanot, those are souls of tzaddikim. So one day, Rabbi Chaim Vital woke up. He goes to his Rebbe on Shabbat. It was, his Rebbe was alive, the Ari. His Rebbe gets up for him. He says, why are you getting up for me? He says, you don't know who came in with you? Who? Chizkiyahu HaMelech. The king Chizkiyahu. He says, what do you mean? He was your Tosefet Neshama. Then later on that day, he came in, he didn't even want to look at him. He says, why? You lost him. Why? Your son, na primer, spilled the food on the floor. You got angry at him. Right away, that second you got angry, he left. Even, it's very high level, we're not in that level. Even if you're makpid is how you say it. Very meticulous. Even strict, too strict. Even a little bit, that kaas takes away the Tosefet Neshama. What comes instead of it? It's a void now, it's a void. What comes instead? Yetzer hara. That's why it says, Kol man deka'is, whoever gets angry, ki'ilu oved avodah zara. It's as if he does avodah zara. Not that he does chas v'shalom avodah zara. It's as if he did avodah zara.
It has to be filled all the time.
There's always filled. There's always a void that has to be filled. So if you don't fill it with that extra neshama, it automatically gets filled with a bigger satan. And so that's how it is. And therefore, how do you get rid of it? By going to the mikveh. So the Ben Ish Chai, somebody has an anger problem or an ego problem? Anger problem. He has an issue. Don't go on meds though. We don't want him to get addicted to medication.
You have to live in the mikveh.
Are you married?
When if a person has an anger issue, for example, how do you get rid of your anger? The same way a person gets rid of his ta'avot. What, a person has an anger issue, it's harder than a person that's addicted to cigarettes? This one has an addiction, and this one has an addiction, right? What do? Just like a person works on himself. You know, this week's parasha, we have 98 curses. 98 curses this week's parasha, Aliyah Shishi, by the way.
Whoa.
That's why the rabbi miraculously vanishes this week usually. He doesn't like to get an aliyah. The Sdei Chemed used to run to get this aliyah. The Sdei Chemed. So there's 98 curses this week's parasha. You know what 98 curses is? And not like in Parashat Bechukotai.
One is enough.
Yeah, no, that's 40, I think 48 over there is, or 49? 49. And this was 68, and really bad ones. You're gonna eat your kids' flesh. You're gonna cook your children. You're gonna make parnasa, but somebody's gonna take it from you. Chas v'shalom. You're gonna wake up in the morning. You're gonna wait till it's night. In the night, you're gonna wait till it's morning. Va'ita mishuga mimare enecha. You're gonna see things that's gonna make you mishuga. Hashem is gonna give you. You know what one of the curses is? God is gonna give you hemorrhoids. But chorim, it's a very big pain. And it's chas v'chalil, chas v'shalom. V'ikacha Hashem bat chorim. So many stuff. Hashem is going to take you back to Egypt. You're going to be sold as slaves. Pretty tough stuff over there. Why 98, says the Ari HaKadosh? Tzach klalot, says the Ari. Tzach in Hebrew is chetz. You know what chetz is? An arrow. Arrow. 98 is gematria in Hebrew, an arrow. Chetz. So the Ari says in Sefer HaLikutim, he writes like this. Tzach kelalot, those 98 curses. Kol ha'onesh, all of it. Hu b'shvil pegamas hayesod. One reason and one reason only. Chas v'shalom, if a person is pogem his yesod. Now, what's pogem his yesod? What's pogem his yesod? Torah says, besod cherev, a sword that's nokeme, that gives revenge, nekam brit, a revenge of the brit. Pegama Yesod, there's a lot of talk these days. Chas v'shalom, person, I don't want to say it in the camera, but person wastes that stuff. That's not the true Pegam Habrit. I already told you guys this in the name of Rabbi Yehuda Aftayim. Pegam Habrit, the true Pegam Habrit, what this is talking about over here, is Chas v'shalom, if a person is with a goy, with a goya, a person who doesn't keep Hilchot Nida. That's the true Pegam Habrit. You understand? That's the true Pegam Habrit. Why? Pegam Habrit means when you take your Brit and it's physically put in a place of total destruction, total chaos. That's why Shovavim is such a big thing. But you know, in Chodesh Elul, it's also possible to make Shovavim during this month too. I even heard of certain groups of guys who are doing it over here. I was very happy to hear it. Next week, B'ezrat Hashem Yitbarach, I'm planning either Sunday or Friday to make over here a ta'anit with a Pidyon Nefesh. Remember last year we did it, guys? We made a ta'anit and we made Pidyon Nefesh for everybody. Pidyon Nefesh, a person has to do in Chodesh Elul. You have to do this. How do you do Pidyon Nefesh? You have to give $160 to the Chacham, or what you can afford. $160 is Gematria Tzelem. Tzelem is that Chalukah de Rabbanan that we were talking about, that you get from your parents. When you do Averot, you put it inside the Gehenom, inside the Klippa, inside the garbage. You have to pick it up. So the Chacham takes 160 silver coins specifically, not gold, silver. He takes these silver coins and he makes out of them 5 rows. Each of those 5 rows is connected to one part of Hashem's name. So for example, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, he takes 10, 5, 6, 5, Ekyeh. He puts 1 silver coin, 5 silver coins, and he has kavanah. Each one of those aspects connects to one aspect of the person he's doing it for, and then he mixes it all together, and he has kavanah. This person should be zocheh to be written in the book of life.
This is per person?
Huh?
Per person?
We're gonna do one for everybody. A klali. If you want something specific, you have to ask for it to be done specifically. You understand? But Rav Chaim Vital writes like this, that he was very makpid to do every year the Pidyon HaNefesh. Every year. Never missed it. Once in his life, he used to do for himself, for his kids, for his wife, everything. Before Rosh Hashanah, it was a chiyuv. You understand? Now, here's the secret. You could do Pidyon Nefesh, but anybody could learn how to do it. But like my Rebbe tells me, one time, Rav Chaim Vital, when he was in his previous Gilgul, he was a big rabbi. And by mistake, when a woman asked him for a halacha in Nida, he dismissed her and he told her the wrong halacha. And because of that, he himself fell in Avon Nida. Avon Nida is one of the worst averot. Because it's a constant avera, nida, karet. Every karet, for example, 1 in and 1 out, that's 2 nights of not sleeping to make a tikkun. In, out. Karet, 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 karet. You could have 100 karets in one night. Chas v'shalom. You know what it is? 100 karets. It's a tame of a person who lives to see 40, 50 years old. You understand? So every time you do a karet, to take the neshama out of that karet, you have to do a certain mitzvah to fix that karet. How do you do that? How do you fix that karet? One way is to stay up all night. When you stay up all night, you turn the karet into keter. The word karet, is chaf, reish, taf. Karet. If you take the reish and you put it at the end of the word and you put the taf in the middle, what do you get? Keter. How do you get the keter? The Ari explains to us that when you learn Torah all night, when you don't go to sleep, you're keter. How? Which animal symbolizes keter?
Lion.
Huh? Sus? It's close, but not really. Huh? The lion.
King, no, king of the
I'll give you a hint. We eat it. We eat it. Should I call it an animal? And maybe I should just say it's a fish. Is it really an animal? It falls under the category of animal, no? Trick question. Fish. Fish are keter. Why do you put fish in your house neged ayin hara? Why is it neged ayin hara? Ayin, because hine lo yanum velo yishan. Shomei said the fish never sleeps. His eye, he doesn't have eyelashes. His eye is always open. When we say shir ma'alot, we say hine lo yanum velo yishan shomei Yisrael. That's why you know that chamsa, it has what it has in the middle? It has an eye. An open eye. The eye, that's bichinat keter. Hashem is always watching us. He's always watching. That's why putting fish in your house is neged ayin hara. We eat fish on Suda Shelishit. All these things, because the fish is a very holy animal. It's a very holy animal. And when we bless our kids, Yisimcha Elohim ki Ephraim, v'chim menashe, because they're keneged the fish, v'yidgu larov, b'kerev haaretz, fish, and we're makpi to eat fish. The big hakpadah is in Suda Shalishit. If you want to skip it on the night and the morning, you could. But you have to be makpi to eat fish and Suda Shalishit, the Fiyari, of course. What? You want me to get you some fish? So, when a person eats the fish, he's mitaken that. You're connecting to the fish. Also, that's why Am Yisrael is keneged the deer. Why a deer? A deer, when it falls asleep, his eye is half open. Like this, he falls asleep. His eyes half open. Right away, he senses the danger, the predator. Right away, runs away. But it's not completely. Why? Also, fish is keneged a keter because the fish is under the water. And keter is bichinat covered. It's always covered. You can never see it. Like a fish, right? The only animal that wasn't destroyed during the Mabul, the flood, was what? The fish. The fish. Even the birds were destroyed. Even the birds. The fish, no. The fish have a kiddusha to them. That's why fish is the one animal, it's the easiest to find out if it's kosher or not. Scales and fins. You don't need to be a big rabbi to know what scales and fins are, right? Anything that has scales has fins. Alright? So every pegam that we make is all the 98 pegams is keneged the pegam abrit. Why pegam abrit? Gematria chetz. The tzach kelalot is keneged chetz. Now you might ask yourself a question. Okay. We do the pidyon nefesh and everything. Why come our galut is so long? I want to tell you guys one thing. We're going to end with this. Let's see. Actually, we have 10 more minutes. I want to say something over here. Something I said maybe years ago. I said this. There's a book called Sefer HaBrit. Sefer HaBrit. Has nothing to do with Brit Milah. It's just called Sefer HaBrit. Written by Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu Mevilna. I don't think he's related to the Vilna Gaon. So he says over here, Vedarashti, and I looked into, Vechakarti etev, and I wanted to know, Lama arichut hagalut hazeh? Why is the exile so lengthy? What's the pshat? Hine bedorot ha'elu, in our generations, yesh Torah, harbe b'Yisrael. There's a lot of Torah, yes or no? YouTube is mifutzatz. Full of Torah. L'shem Torah inspiration. Listen, L'shem Torah is just a drop in the sea. ובכל זאת לא בא הגואל, still the goel. You know, everyone says, how come Mashiach doesn't come? Alozvam et Torati. But let's be honest with each other. There's a lot of Torah these days. Yeah? How much more? What do you want him to do? You want to take the guy from the liberal from the college, from the campus, and teach him Torah? It's a process. It's a lot of Torah these days, Baruch Hashem. Am Yisrael is doing what it needs to do. So many people are strong in tefillah. No talking in shul. Right? We try. Listen, it's it's right there. We try our best. What? It's not an easy thing. Some people, the people come to shul. Sometimes a big Amaretz comes. He doesn't know from his right to his left. He comes. He sees his friend all week. He didn't see it. He starts to chat with him. What can you? You gotta beat him up in the middle of the show. You tell him no, shh. You try your best, but we're trying, right?
No.
Shh. But so many people daven to Hashem, and they don't get answered their prayers. Their tefillot don't get answered. There's so many people today. We have Hatzalah, Misaskim, Chai Lifeline. How many of these kind of stuff we have? Gemachim we have. Shiduchim, that we have so many of these things. But people are not getting their answers, prayers answers. Have we ever had a generation like this? My wife works in a cancer hospital. So many Chas v'Shalom Jewish people there with cancer. Religious. Lo aleinu. He says over here, V'chipasti, Rav Eliyahu, or Pinchas Eliyahu Mevilna, says, I looked inside, what's the reason for all of this? You're not going to believe what he says. Now, if you come to me with that says, I heard this, listen, I'm telling you what he says. If you have beef, light a candle for Rabbi Pinchas Eliyahu Mevilna and speak to the candle. Don't speak to me over here. I'm just reading to you what he says. Chipasti ladat. Mi hu zeh hamafsid. What's the one that's causing all this Chas Shalom destruction? Matzati. כי ג' הכיתות כולם אינם מכוונים לתפילתם. People do not have kavana during tefillah. Not kavana that you think, Pirush HaMilim. I'm talking about kavana. What we learn in L'Shem. Havaya. Rashash is taking it to the next level. But even this book, Avodat HaKodesh, even these small kavanot person can do. And Chas v'Shalom, if somebody in a different shul sees you with this sidur, he's going to say, until you're going to get there. They right away break you. Why do they do that? Jealousy. The neshama wants it, but he doesn't know how to learn it. And he sees somebody holding it. And he says, why are you holding it? He wants to break you. Why to break you? Listen, I was in Kolev for 5 years. We went to Rabbanutas. We went this and that, and there were rabbis with us inside the kollel. From the kollel, maybe 1 or 2 guys passed their tests. Does that mean that's it? We gotta throw away everything and spend all of our life? You have to graduate in your life. You have to learn how to do kavanah. What's the point of all of this if not to do kavanah? It's tiring. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's too long. That's why we're in galut for so long. Not only in the galut from the Beit HaMikdash, in our personal galut. You have to run to those people who know these things, who teach. You have to shake their hands and teach us how to serve Hashem. When we say a person is Oved Hashem, Avodah zo Tefillah. Tefillah is the Oved Hashem. Look what he writes over here. V'kol adam Yisrael machshavato ledarko pana. Everybody while he's davening, one is in work, one is in here, one is in there, one is only praying for himself. Leto'elet atzmo, for his own sake he davens. V'kol haTorah u'tfilah u'mitzvah asher hu oseh mechaven liknot lo makom chashuv. Even if a person davens to have Gan Eden, it's a very low level of davening, he says. It's a high level too, because at least you believe in Gan Eden. But it's still a low level. It's not the level that you need to be a ben to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know, in Rosh Hashanah we daven to Hashem, we say, Im kebanim, Im ka'avadim. Either we're like banim, either we're like avadim. If like banim, we say, Rachamenu kerachem aval banim. We don't need to stay in the judgment too long if we're like banim. The son goes to the Beit Din, his father is the judge, right away he says, L'chaim. Im ka'avadim. But if we're like avadim, enenu lecha tluyot, we have to beg for another 9 days during Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. And then we have to wait till Yom Kippur. And then Yom Kippur we have to cry. and we have to fast, and we have to this, and after that. Because we're like avadim. We serve Hashem al menat lekabel pras. Give me a makom gan eden, give me this, give me that. Instead of serving Hashem b'kavanah. He says over here, והוא חושב שיצליח על ידי זה ושיאריך ימים. He's praying for a long life with his wife, with his kids. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't daven to have good kids. You know, every day I finish my tefillah. Almost every day, if I'm not in a rush. After I finish Shacharit, I say Alenu L'Shabeach. I say the 13 attributes of faith, 10 remembrances. After I finish that, right away I say Tfilat Hashla. The Tfilat Hashla for having good kids. People only say it once a year. When? Erev Rosh Chodesh Sivan. That's it. Well, only on Erev Rosh Chodesh Hashem has to bless you to have. Every day you have to read that. After Tikkun Chatzot I say it. But when you're davening Shacharit, Mincha, and Arabit, you have to ask yourself a question. You think Hashem needs your tefillah? How we say, when you say Ana Hashem Chatati, Aviti, Pashati, Lefanecha, right? You say Chatati, Aviti, Pashati. Right? Confession. Let's say 20 minutes later, I feel like making confession again. Am I allowed to?
Of course.
What?
Why not?
What's the halacha? Am I allowed to make confession after confession?
No.
You can't be
After
sad.
20 minutes, why not?
You can't be sad over it.
That's a big father said, no?
You have to wait at least half an hour. Why? If you say confession after confession, you're like a dog that's eating its own throat. How much could you say your own mistake? How much could we repeat Shacharit Mincha Aravit, Shacharit Mincha Aravit, Shacharit? What are we, like a dog that's going over our Shalom Lahavdil, our key? Rather, it has to be something else in the tefillah. Guys, we have to admit, what do we have to live for? Person gets to the age of 20, okay, I need to get married. He says, I need to get married. Right away, he's looking, Shatchanim, goes out, gets dumped, feels bad, gets depressed. Okay, then he goes out again, gets dumped again. Then he dumps her. Then he has to deal with the backlash from there because she spreads rumors about it. Then he goes back and forth and back and forth. Finally, he finds the girl. Then what does he live for? Kids now. He's already 25, 26. He's praying kids. Doesn't happen right away. Oh my God, everybody's judging him. Kids. And she's crying every time she gets her monthly. And he's trying to calm her down. He doesn't know what to do. Shalom bayis. Finally, they have the kid. Comes the Brit Milah. This one's fighting, I want to be Sandak. This one's fighting, I want to be Avi Abed. I want to be the Brachot. Everybody's fighting each other. Okay, finally, the Brit Milah passes. He has the girl, he has the boy. Then the big fight, when are we going to get a house? Oh, he's loaning money from him. Okay, he reaches 35 years old. He gets the house. Baruch Hashem, he has the wife. He has the kids. What's the next fight? How to get my kids into the yeshiva now? Whose pockets I have to grease to get into the yeshiva? Okay, he gets his kids into the yeshiva. He does that. What does he have to live for now?
Paying off the mortgage.
Paying off the mortgage. But he looks to his right. He looks to his left. He's like, I got everything. What do I have to live for now? Then that's when he gets the midlife crisis. Pleasure. What pleasure he already has? What pleasure? We're religious Jews. We don't want those pleasures that the goy even do. He looks around. He's a religious Jew. He says, "What do I have to live for now? I did prayer every via. I have the house. I have the wife. I have the kid. What do I have to live for?" Then you say, "Let me dust off that Gemara I had when I was in high school. Maybe those rabbis were right. Let's try to open up that Gemara. Maybe there's something in there." And he's a very sincere person. He opens up the Gemara and he starts to learn. He says, "Wow, where was I for the past 15 years? This is really something." The goy, he doesn't have a Gemara. What does he buy? A convertible. He buys a Porsche or whatever. He gets into an accident, gets drunk, he gets addicted to alcohol. He starts to make videos of himself, posts it on YouTube. That's the rest of his life. That's it. That's all he has to do in his life. Post stuff, that's it. And when he comes to die, he dies. He's happy, by the way. You understand? He's very happy. He gets fat. Then he gets surgery. Then he gets fat again. What else he has to live for? Food. We're Jewish people. Don't we have a higher calling? Right? Absolutely. So he says the guy opens up the Gemara. He learns. Okay, but then let's say he has a high neshama. He's from Olam HaAtzilut, Olam HaBriya. He's not from Olam HaAsiyah. He looks in the Gemara. Then he says to himself, "Okay, I learned Torah. Is there any other way I could serve Hashem?" He asks himself this question. He says, "Okay, what do I do now? I learned Gemara, I have my Shir Kavua, but I want to serve Hashem more. Oh, I could be Machmir in Tzitzit, let me get the wool Tzitzit." And he starts to get this love of serving Hashem. And he says, I want more. I'm gonna wear a big kippah from now on. Not anymore that frisbee on the head like this, that small thing. I'm gonna wear a big kippah now. Then so he's like, what do I need these jeans for? I wanna look like a Ben Torah. And suddenly he starts to feel that sweetness in the Torah if he's lucky. If he doesn't fall into that pit of the midlife crisis. And he starts to wake up. And then he says to himself, after he does all of that, he says, I want to serve Hashem more. And he hears there's something called Pnimiyut HaTorah. The inner secrets of Hashem. When a person passes away, Hashem is going to look at you and he's going to ask, Hashem himself. He said, it's a medrash. He says, did you learn Mishnah? Yes. Hashem is not going to say, did you finish Shas? You learned how much you could. You learned Gemara? Yes. You learned Chumash? Yes. And Hashem is going to say, did you see how I made lightning? What am I, a scientist over here? I have to see how you made lightning? Hashem says, what, you think I'm actually talking about lightning? That too you could look at. Do you know what a barak is? Do you know the secret behind it? Do you know why I made it? Do you know why I said blow the shofar? A person who just learns Gemara and Mishnah his whole life, the same, you're going to ask him, why do we blow shofar in Rosh Hashanah? And what is he going to tell you? To wake up your heart, he's going to say. Ask the first grader that came out of yeshiva, why do we blow the shofar in Rosh Hashanah? What is he going to say? To wake you up and during Elul. That means from first grade till 40 years old, it could be a big posek. Does he know the real reason why Hashem did this stuff? No. He's like a first grader. He learns a lot of Torah. He knows a lot of halachot. He may have more knowledge. But the ta'ameh ha-mitzvot stays what? Stays like a first grader. It stays. It doesn't move. It doesn't change. Hashem wants you to grow. Hashem wants you to know His secrets. That's why He chose us. That's why. What does the rabbi say over here, Pinchas? What did he say over here? This is how I'm going to end my shiur because I want you guys to take this idea to the next year. Hashem wants you to serve Him on a higher level. You know, it says in the Beit HaMikdash, when they used to bring the korbanot, if they had the zechut, a lion would come in the form of a fire lion, right? And he would chomp down that would be the Malach Ariel, right? He would come, Malach Ariel would come, Ariel, the lion of Hashem, would come, Bon appetit, thank you for the nice meal. If they wouldn't have the zechut, the dog would come, the Samech Mem, chomp it down, Laila Tov. I want to ask you a question. Second baby was Sinat Chinam, this and that. Just from seeing a lion come and chomp down a korban, don't you think a lot of people would be religious from that? Why weren't they? How come the Kohanim were the biggest kofrim? Don't they see the lion coming down, chomping the korban? We have to wake up from this fairy tale that we grew up with. You have to open up the Sfarim HaKadoshim. You know who would see the lion? A person that would know how to see the lion. Not everybody would see it. You can't just expect, I'm a tzaddik, boom, I'm going to have nivu'ah. There is a formula behind it. There's an avodah behind it. We have this idea in our generation, let's stay, you keep Shabbat, you keep kosher, you keep mitzvot, you wear tzitzit, you're good. You're good. That you're never going to be a Oved Hashem like that. You know how you be Oved Hashem? You know how you know you're growing in spirituality? When you want the chumrot. I want the stringency. I want to be better. I don't want to get angry. I don't want to be a Baal Ta'ava. I want to be stronger. I want to be Oved Hashem on the highest level. I want to pray Shemona Yisrael for 10 minutes, not for 2 minutes. I want to cause people to be better in life. I want to help. I want to be a Baal Tzedakah. Because let's face it, if you're not gonna think like that, you're gonna reach an age when you're gonna be like, I have nothing left to live for. There's nothing left to live for. How come serving Hashem is the greatest pleasure? Let's see if anybody in here knows. Very great. Because Hashem is Ein Sof. There is no end to what levels you could reach with Him. That's why the closer you get to Him, the farther you know you really are. And that's the greatest pleasure in serving Him. May Hashem always be mizakeh otanu, to serve Him, to be close to Him. May we all here be written and inscribed and sealed with our families in the book of life, the book of tzaddikim, the book of kedoshim, parnasat tova, shefa, Torah, mitzvot, maasim tovim, v'yechel kenu miyoshvei beit hamidrash, baruch Adonai leolam, amen ve'amen. Rabbi Hananiah ben Akaz Yahweh, רצה הקדוש ברוך הוא לזכות את